I am so grateful to have such wonderful listeners who support this show and help keep it going. And this week, I'm excited to share that this episode comes with all the bells and whistles. So it's not going to be like an audiobook, but with a full production with music and sound effects. Because for this episode, for this part of the story, the sound effects, the music really became part of the story, and they support the story in a more vital way than in other episodes. So I hope you'll listen to this episode with headphones, and I want to thank everyone who helped make this possible for me to share this episode fully produced with everyone on this free public feed. So thank you to all my supporters around the world. Your support means the world to me. And to everyone else, I hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to the Lesbian Romantic podcast. This is Connection Revealed, part 46. September 24th, 2063. Fire Blue Territory, North American Province, 12:15 p.m. local time. Jade stuck her head in between the two front seats, alarmed. Blue lights. Yeah, looks like the road is blocked, Louise said, slowing down the car. There must have been an accident. Should we turn around? Michelle asked, looking over her shoulder. Their eyes briefly met before Jade looked over her shoulder too. There were no cars driving behind them. They could turn around and take a different road if they wanted to. We'll lose too much time, Louise said. What if they are looking for us? Michelle asked. Jade focused back on the road ahead. They were getting closer to the traffic jam now, with several emergency vehicles blocking the road in the distance. If the emergency services are already here, they'll open the road back up soon, Louise assured as she slowed the car down even more. Are you sure it's an accident? Jade asked, rubbing her sweaty palms on the fabric of the car seat. What if it's a roadblock to stop us? Louise shook her head. Look, this is rebel territory. There wouldn't be blue lights unless there was an accident. It's not like the rest of the world. Jade thought of the times she had bumped into a roadblock back home. It hadn't happened often to her, but she knew that soldiers stopped some other people all the time. Louise maneuvered their vehicle towards the line of cars, finally stopping but leaving the engine running. We'll just have to wait and hope no one is looking for us yet. Michelle huffed. I can't believe this. Jade noticed a bead of sweat rolling down Michelle's temple. She too felt her skin start to glisten in the hot car. When did it become this hot? Louise seemed fine though. Let's turn on the radio, Louise said and reached for the console. Music filled the car, a cheerful tune that seemed completely out of place given their tense situation. Are you sure we can't just take another road? Michelle asked, shifting nervously in her seat. Louise turned to look at her. Just stay calm, okay? This is the only road into the city from this side. We're not that far. We should be fine. Let's stay calm and wait. Oh no, Jade uttered as her gaze landed on movement a few cars ahead of them. Who is that over there? What? Louise asked, straightening. Yeah, it's the police. He's talking to all the drivers stuck in the traffic jam. Drive away, Michelle urged her. Just drive away. Jade let herself fall back, briefly considering if she should hide. She couldn't, of course. It would only make her look more suspicious. We'll be fine, Louise repeated, but Jade could hear the increasing tension in her voice. Jade, just lean back and look sleepy. Don't overdo it and don't say anything. You have to drive away. He's talking to every driver. He'll know who we are, Michelle repeated. Louise turned to Michelle again. Michelle, try to look tired and worried about the accident. She spoke with more confidence now. That's what people here would do. But what do you mean that's what people would do? Michelle muttered, glancing in Jade's direction. Jade smiled, amused now and growing even more impressed by Louise's composure in such a constantly changing situation. People around here care. I'm going to open the window, Louise stated before immediately doing so. Just let me handle this, okay? Good morning, the police officer greeted, walking between their car and the one ahead of them. Jade leaned back as instructed and rubbed her eyes as if just waking up. Morning. Everything okay out there? Louise asked, leaning her elbow on the car door. Pretty bad accident, the officer replied, bending down slightly. His gaze flicked to Jade in the back seat, but quickly returned to Louise. Hey, you're... Jade's heart skipped a beat. The officer had recognized Louise. Was he on the lookout? But then Jade saw a blush creep up on Louise's face in the rearview mirror, and she realized this was something else. Yeah, Louise smiled charismatically. Is there anything I can do to help? No, ma'am, he said, shaking his head. I'd rather you stay in the car. If others see you here, things might turn into a circus. I hope not, Louise said. But yes, I'll keep my head down so things don't get even more complicated. Think we'll be here long? We'll clear the road for you soon, he said eagerly, still very focused on Louise. Are you on urgent business? Should I get you some assistance to make up for lost time? No, Louise smiled and shook her head calmly. Just personal business, and the president is not with me, of course, so I will wait. Just focus on the people who need your help, okay? Jade tilted her head in awe of Louise's skillfulness. She had managed to completely distract the officer from her passengers with genuine-looking sympathy and humility. He grimaced. Yeah, one of them is in pretty bad shape, but we got to him fast. I hope he'll be okay. Louise nodded. Me too. Hey, can you let me know when you find out? Just send a message to the president's office, she said. His face flushed and he smiled. Of course, ma'am. I'd be happy to. Thank you, Louise smiled. And thanks for being out here in the heat. He nodded and wiped his sweaty forehead. Yeah, I'll be happy when I can get back in my car. Jade was intrigued by Louise's empathy, feeling like she had just discovered a whole new side of her. This was a kind, humble, and smart woman. All right, the policeman said and straightened. I think we're about ready to let you pass. I'm going back over there. Good to meet you, ma'am. Likewise, Louise smiled gratefully. Good luck. He nodded and turned around. Louise quickly closed the window as the radio played another ridiculously happy song. After a few seconds, Michelle burst out laughing. Louise's face turned bright red as she asked, What? You're a real celebrity here, Michelle grinned. Louise let out a sigh and said, And it just saved your ass, so shut up. Jade grinned and decided that she liked Louise Thomas, after all.
Changing who, changing what, and why. It all seems to fit. But who's really who, being what, and why? I think I'm you. Home, home, just wanna go home, home, back home. I've been gone for way too home, home, just wanna go home. I'm on my way back home.
September 24th, 2063, Fire Blue Territory, North American Province, 2:15 p.m. local time. Louise shut the trunk after hastily unloading the last of the supplies she had bought. The car was now almost full and time was passing too quickly. They still had a long way to go. She walked to the driver's seat and let herself fall into it once again. She couldn't even remember how many times she had done that today. She started the engine before noticing something was wrong. Michelle was staring at her with worried eyes, boxes of food crammed around her in the passenger seat. Louise chuckled nervously. What, not up for our road trip? But then suddenly, it hit her. She froze and her lips parted. Slowly turning her head, she stared at the radio in the console. Elle's voice was coming through the speakers. She gave a speech, Jade said from the back seat. Louise didn't respond. She was trying to process what Elle was saying on the radio, but struggled to hear the words. It was as if her brain had shut down to protect her. Maybe we should drive away from here first, Michelle suggested. I think we're running out of time. Louise nodded slowly. She reached for the radio and turned down the volume. She needed to focus on getting Michelle and Jade out of the city. She couldn't let Elle distract her. Not yet. Louise, Michelle said, covering her hand. Look at me. Frowning, Louise met Michelle's gaze. The familiar blue eyes were warm with kindness and compassion. We'll listen to her speech once we're out of the city, okay? Michelle said, squeezing Louise's hand. Let's get out of this parking lot first. Letting out a breath, Louise finally pulled back her hand and placed it on the wheel. She reversed the car on autopilot, her mind racing. Why would Elle give a speech now? She maneuvered the car into the road, grateful for the years of driving experience here. It came naturally to her now, unlike when she had first driven a car on her way to this very city to save Elle from her best friend. There was a speech when I was first here, she shared, unable to handle the intense feeling building in her chest alone. I heard them announce Elle's visit and speech at a power factory. What was it about? Jade asked, her voice soft. But Louise ignored her question and focused on the road instead. They drove in tense silence for a long time, the radio playing softly in the background but mostly unintelligible. The talking heads, they are now in control. After 3 long hours, they had finally left the city behind. It had been at least 30 minutes since they passed another car. Louise felt her tense muscles slowly relax. I think we're going to be okay, she said to Michelle and Jade. It went smoother than I anticipated. Both women sat up straighter in their seats, having been slumped over for most of the journey. Really? That's great. Thank you, Jade exclaimed. How much farther do we have? Michelle asked. Louise smiled warily, exhaustion burning her eyes. It's hard to tell, but I don't see why anyone would be out here. I think we'll make it. We should reach our destination by nightfall. She loosened her grip on the steering wheel and added, but I want to listen to that speech. I need to know what's going on. Michelle reached for the volume button. Yeah, you do. Louise glanced at her, raising an eyebrow. Michelle shyly smiled back. Ready? Yes, I'm ready, Louise said with a deep sigh. Michelle turned up the volume and the radio host's voice filled the car. The public was taken by surprise, and I am sure there will be a lot of unrest. What do you have to say to the people, Secretary? There is no need for unrest, although I understand people are disappointed. Louise recognized Ellen's voice. She was one of Elle's most trusted advisors. But I support President Lucas in her decision, and I'd like to reiterate that the entire cabinet will remain in place, so there will be no major changes for now, Ellen explained. Louise's frown deepened. What was going on? What exactly had Elle decided? And does the cabinet support your role as acting president? The host asked, suspicion evident in his voice. Of course, Ellen replied calmly. I have their full support, and I also have former President Lucas's support, for which I am very grateful. It is an honor to serve the people in this new capacity. Louise's jaw dropped in shock. She didn't understand. If Ellen was acting president, then the host said, "Yes, let's play that clip again." Louise shook her head, trying to process everything. Her fingers tightened around the wheel as she listened to Elle's tired but confident voice booming through the speakers. "Effective immediately, I have asked our Secretary of Defense to step up as acting president and take over my duties. No. I believe this is in the best interest of the people of the Fire Blue Republic, and I am grateful for her support and leadership. Fuck. Starting today, she will be your president until the next scheduled election. For this, she has my full support and the support of the entire cabinet. I will now disappear from the public stage as I need privacy during this difficult time." This was part 46 of Connection Revealed. Connection Revealed will have 50 parts, so there are a few more to go. And I was able to produce those, to create those with the support of listeners around the world. And I am so grateful. And I'm so happy that I can still share these episodes for free on this feed with you because of the support of the patrons. Part 47, 48, and 49 are already available for all patrons. So if you're interested in listening to the rest of the story, apart from part 50, today, you can just go to patreon.com/lesbianromantic and take a look at the Bells and Whistles Theater, which is the creative home of this podcast. You can become a member today and immediately get access to the next episodes, to my 2 short stories, because I just published another 50-minute long, fully produced short story, and many other extras. So take a look at patreon.com/lesbianromantic. All right, time to get back to writing. I still have one more episode of Connection Revealed to write, and it will be available for patrons as soon as it's ready. On this feed, the next episode, part 47, will be available in 2 weeks. All right, see you on Patreon, or see you on this feed in 2 weeks, and take good care of yourself.